exactly, I didn't break any rules moment. My high school had this zero-tolerance policy for tardiness. If you were even 1 second late to first period, you got detention. No exceptions. The assistant principal would stand at the main entrance with a stopwatch, locking the doors exactly when the bell finished ringing. I lived 20 minutes away, and my mom worked early shifts, so I had to take 2 buses to school. The problem was the second bus was always running behind schedule. I'd been late 3 times already, and 1 more meant suspension. That's when I noticed something interesting in the student handbook. The tardy policy specifically stated that students must enter through the main entrance before the bell stops ringing, but it didn't say anything about other entrances. I started exploring the building during lunch breaks. Most doors were locked from the outside, but I discovered that the gym had an emergency exit that teachers propped open during morning workouts. It led directly to the athletic wing, which connected to the main building through the cafeteria. The next morning, my bus was running 10 minutes late again. Instead of panicking, I got off at the stop near the athletic fields behind the school. I walked around to the gym's back entrance and slipped inside just as the wrestling team was finishing their morning practice. I made it to my locker and then to first period with 2 minutes to spare. The assistant principal was still at the main entrance, checking her watch and preparing to lock the doors. This became my daily routine. Rain or shine, I'd take the back route through the gym. The wrestling coach eventually noticed me, but just nodded each morning. I think he respected the hustle. For 2 weeks, everything went perfectly. I never had to stress about the buses anymore. I could take my time walking through the athletic fields, enjoying the morning air instead of sprinting through crowded hallways in a panic. But then, the assistant principal started getting suspicious. She'd see me in first period every day, perfectly on time, but never witnessed me coming through the main entrance during her morning watch. She even started asking other students if they'd seen me arrive. She began asking my first period teacher about my attendance. "He's always here," my teacher would say. "Never been late once this month, model student." The assistant principal wasn't satisfied with that answer. She decided to investigate. One morning, she positioned herself in the hallway outside my first period classroom instead of at the main entrance. When I walked in right on time, she followed me. "I need to speak with you," she called out. She pulled me aside and asked directly how I'd been getting to school. I explained about the bus delays and how I'd been using the gym entrance to make sure I wasn't late to first period. Her face went through about 5 different expressions as she processed this. First confusion, then realization, then frustration. She pulled out her copy of the student handbook and flipped through it frantically, searching for something to nail me with. "The rule says students must enter through the main entrance," she said, pointing to the page with her finger. "Actually," I replied, "it says students can't be late to first period. I've never been late. I just found a different way in that doesn't violate any written rules." She stared at the handbook for a long moment, then looked at me, then back at the handbook. The wrestling coach happened to be walking by, and she flagged him down with a frustrated wave. "Has this student been entering through your gym every morning?" "Yeah, every morning for weeks. Kid's dedicated. Never disrupts anything, just passes through quietly." "Thought you knew about it." The assistant principal realized she couldn't give me detention for not being late. I hadn't violated any actual rules in the handbook, but she definitely wasn't happy about being outsmarted. The next week, a new policy appeared in the morning announcements. All students must enter the building exclusively through designated student entrances during morning arrival hours. They'd closed my loophole, but I'd already solved my problem. The buses got new schedules 2 days later, and I never had trouble making it to the main entrance on time again.